All right, welcome back, everyone. With so much in the news lately about contagious diseases, pet owners have a valid question. Could these outbreaks affect my pet? Dr. Ruth Roberts joins us right now from Sundog Cat Moon Veterinary to address some of those concerns. Dr. Ruth, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here.
Thanks, John.
Let's talk about this. Of course, the headline splashed with Ebola. We had a case where Bentley, the little King Charles Spaniel, was quarantined and is hopefully going to be reunited with his owner in just a couple of days. But can pets contract Ebola and other diseases from humans?
Ebola, no, thankfully, because that would be terribly frightening if that was the case. So there's no evidence that any dogs have been infected or have been able to transmit the disease to humans, but we're still not sure. Thankfully, in Africa, there's been no issues with this. And Bentley, for instance, actually tested negative for Ebola. The nurse in Spain, Teresa Ramos, her dog did test positive for Ebola, but never shedded the virus. So that, of course, created a great deal of uproar in Spain when that dog was euthanized, unfortunately.
So does it work both ways? If it's not transferable to your pets, can your pets transfer diseases to their owners, to other people as well?
It depends on the disease. So, for instance, with MRSA, which is another disease that's in the news these days, that is a disease that we can transfer back and forth to each other, from human to dogs or cats, and cats and dogs back to people. So that's become an enormous problem because of the antibiotic resistance for that Staphylococcus species of bacteria. So it's very important, if there's some sort of a crazy skin infection, and that's typically where it shows up, or with a surgical wound, that's another common place for it to show up, that you wash your hands very carefully after you treat your pet. And if that infection is not going away, it's very important to seek care from your veterinarian, and often your veterinarian will need to do a culture and sensitivity of the yucky stuff on the skin to know exactly what the bacteria is and which antibiotic it's sensitive to.
I assume that taking regular baths for your dog or your cat, that would actually help cut down on that risk as well?
Exactly. Washing, whether it's hand washing or bathing, is very important to reduce any type of bacterial contamination or viral.
And we have one more disease that we want to talk about, and I'm going to let you pronounce it. It's known as C. diff, is what you said. And you're saying you're seeing a lot of cases of that here in the Low Country lately.
Right. C. diff, or Clostridium difficile, is a type of bacteria that affects the intestines, and it can create some really yucky symptoms as far as diarrhea, vomiting, gas, discomfort, things of that nature. In people, it actually can be fatal. And again, this is a bacterial disease where it has become resistant to most of the commonly used antibiotics. So for instance, metronidazole is used commonly to treat diarrhea both in dogs and animals, and C. diff is often resistant to it. So we have begun to see several cases of C. diff in our dogs. The thing that's interesting is that the treatment of choice, according to the College of Veterinary Internal Medicine, is actually using very high doses of probiotics and bentonite clay, which helps adsorb some of those toxins that the bacteria produce.
Clean out the system. Indeed.
Exactly.
So if your dog does have some kind, let's not say that one particularly, but some kind of microorganism that's living, or their cat as well, they can live with it and not show symptoms, but it can be transferred to a human and then the symptoms would show up. Is that true?
Exactly. And C. diff is another one of those organisms. We're not sure if it's transferable between people and animals, but it's likely because the same types of that variety of bacteria show up in all of these three species. So again, anytime an animal is sick, has any sort of infection or something of that nature, and likewise, if you're sick, if you've got some issues going on, hand washing is extremely important. It's still the very most effective way to reduce the bacterial contamination so that we're much less likely to transfer diseases to pets.
Great tips right there. If you have any questions about your dog or your cat, perhaps your sun or your moon, no, just kidding. You can check out that website right there or call Dr. Ruth at that number for all your pet needs. Dr. Ruth, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks so much, Sean. Great to see you.
Great stuff. All right, we'll send it over to Tessa.